Hi everyone, it's New Jersey Garden. I wanted to show you what's in bloom this week. It is Father's Day, June 19th, 2022, and the bachelor's buttons that I planted this spring are just starting to come into bloom. They're getting a little shade from these peony plants that just finished their bloom, so I may move them. I usually let my peony plants just sit until the end of the season, and then they get powdery mildew in August, so at that point I cut them down. But in this garden bed I had a lot of perennial alyssum, basket of gold, and that's gone past, so I need to clean up this little area. I may leave on some of the peony seed pods to see if I get any new peony plants, because I have been able to get a couple new peony plants out of just seeds that have developed. So this is the remnants of an allium. Over here, this is the strawberry bed. All the strawberries are pretty much picked. We had probably 20 quarts of strawberries from all these strawberries here, strawberry plants. And they were delicious. I am excited to grow, maybe some new varieties that are a little sweeter, but they were really plentiful and they're just finished. This plant here is called Borage. The bees love it, and the flowers are actually edible. They point downwards, so they're blue. I have a lot of borage just from last year in here. Over here, these are the sugar snap peas. These are starting to ripen as well. I've been starting to pick them. And then down here we have some tomato plants. Over here there's a cherry tomato called Sun Gold. Then there's some bachelor buttons mixed in here as well, but this one is a brandywine. This is another brandywine. I just staked these. I use this Velcro staking material. It works pretty well for me, and I meant to what I usually like to do is just have one stem and then I trim out the suckers, and I didn't get around to it, so I will be trying to prune this a little bit. But and then over here, this is Prudence Purple, which is an heirloom. This Prudence Purple is not doing so well. It's kind of shaded by the sugar snap peas, so it's just getting too much shade. And I'm going to fertilize these tomatoes today. What else? Oh, I have a lot of squash in here. Oh, so cucumbers. I just planted out some new cucumber seedlings. A lot of them got eaten by, I don't know if it was slugs or whatever, but there's some Ukrainian slicing cucumbers in here mixed in with the borage. But I planted some new cucumber seedlings yesterday that I had started a couple weeks ago. And then over here, I just have a tray. I'm going to try to transplant these today. This is two plants in here. This is Gloriosa Daisy and Queen of the Prairie. Queen of the Prairie took like 3 months to germinate. It took a really long time. It's so windy today. I'm going to water this seed tray, leave it out. They're hardening off, and then I'll be transplanting these soon. I have a little bit of black-eyed Susan that just popped up in this bed, and then I have a lot of, I have a couple tall sunflowers growing. In the back, that lacy flower is actually a lace flower. It's the green lace flower. And then I have a lot of zucchini plants in here. There's like 5 or 6 zucchini plants. And what I'm going to do with the zucchini plants is, we get the squash vine borer that attacks, sorry for the shadowing here, let me come around. The squash vine borer will attack the base of the plants, like right here. So what I have to do is put some aluminum foil around all the bases of these zucchinis so the squash vine borer won't attack these plants. It worked out well for me a couple years ago. I didn't do it last year, and the squash vine borer got into all my plants. Now this plant here, it's several plants. I don't know what type of squash this is, or if it's a pumpkin. I have no idea. It just started in the garden this spring, just seedlings popped up. So this garden bed is a little crowded, and I also have some dill in here. So this is just the vegetable patch. It is enclosed with fencing, and we do have a deer problem here, so I have all this fencing around the garden. So let me show you some of the flowers that are in the front garden bed. Okay, so this area on the right had a lot of sweet williams. I need to cut them back because they've just gone past. I am going to be putting mulch. I put cardboard down to block the weeds, and I'm putting mulch down in this garden bed. But these were all sweet williams that come back every year. Planted them a couple years ago, and I was cutting a lot of these. I started selling some of my flowers at a farm nearby called Hackle Barney Farm in my town in Chester, and the sweet williams have really long stems, so they make great cut flowers. So I had a lot of I sold a lot of these this year. And then on this side of the garden bed, I just have a lot of lilies. I prefer the yellow lilies. They're called Happy Returns. The more orange colored ones are called Stella d'Oro, and they're very popular, very prolific, but the leaves are thinner than the Happy Returns, and Happy Returns has like a bluish greenish tint to the leaves, depending on what time of day you're looking at them. But I like the yellow one, the lighter yellow ones a little better. So I might be moving the Stella d'Oros out of here. And then over here we have an Oriental Lily, and as you can see, we got deer nibbling on this. I did spray it. The deer love lilies, so it's hard to grow lilies here. I don't have this area fenced in, but there's another lily over here. I forget which one this is, but I planted it this spring and it should be blooming. Over here, this is just a little lilac shrub, the Josie lilac that I planted this spring. In this garden bed, I had a lot of foxgloves that just went past. They were beautiful. They were the peach Dalmatian foxgloves. And then I have a lot of Stella d'Oro lilies over here, starting to bloom. And then over here, this orange flower is one of my favorites. It's called Maltese Cross. Hummingbirds enjoy it. Have blanket flower through this garden bed, some daisies that haven't bloomed yet. I had a lot of poppies, and they make these really interesting seed pods. The yellow flower is Coreopsis, and this lavender is just coming into bloom. I have several lavender plants, and I've been cutting the lavender and bringing it to that farm market that I told you about. So with this lavender bunch, I'm going to save lavender and try it for 2 to 3 weeks in my basement, and then collect all the little seeds and then put them into little organza bags, for little sachet bags, because they make nice little sachet bags. And this is a lot of lavender. This lavender bush is really huge, and the bees love the lavender, and it will grow back later in the summer. So I'm going to harvest it, and then I'll have another flush of lavender later in the summer. The deer have really been nibbling on the blanket flower. I cut a lot of the blanket flower yesterday to sell at the market. As you can see, though, I'm getting a lot of four-lined plant damage. They love daisies and coreopsis. They also like black-eyed Susans. So they've been nibbling at the leaves, but they'll be gone soon. These 4-line plant bugs are like yellow and black striped, and they'll be gone when the hot weather comes. But these are the seed pods for all the poppies. I have a lot of Oriental poppies that I grow, and this is what the seed heads look like. I think I'm going to leave these and let's see if they scatter and produce any plants. This right here is a white, fragrant Oriental Lily. This is catmint. And then I have a lot of yarrow that's just coming into bloom. Now, I love yarrow. It's drought tolerant. The deer do not touch it. The only issue I have with the yarrow is I do get aphids in some areas of the yarrow, especially before it blooms. I get a lot of aphids. So yesterday I had picked a lot of yarrow to sell at the farmer's market, and I had to throw out a lot of it because I dunked them into water to try to get the aphids off, and they just wouldn't come off. And I have used neem oil in the past to get rid of aphids, but when I used the neem one summer, I got a lot of, there were a lot of dead birds in our pool, so I worry that the neem oil might not be great for birds. I know it will kill off the aphids, but then I don't know, it was kind of strange that we had all these dead birds in our pool the year that I used neem. So I stopped using neem for that reason. But there's more yarrow. I have a lot of red yarrow that comes in later. I believe this is called a Colorado mix. It's a lot of like pastel pinks and peaches and yellows. This tall spiky plant is Liatris. It will be blooming soon. There's more lavender. I picked some of this. This tall tree here is a Crepe Myrtle. It blooms in August and September. And I have some brown-eyed Susans starting over here. And this down here is butterfly weed. It's the first time I've grown this. I believe monarch butterflies feed off this plant. There's more brown-eyed Susan in here. There is a lilac shrub. I have some coneflower mixed in here. There's more blanket flower. There's a lot of coneflower here. I do have to spray the coneflower because the deer nibble on the coneflower as well. This is Liatris. I have a lot of it. I planted some zinnias down here in the front. I love the blanket flower because it blooms all summer, goes until the fall. I have a couple different colors. There's red, and then there's the red with the yellow. And then when they're finished blooming, they make these interesting fuzzy little heads here. There's some yarrow mixed in. And then over here is new this year. This is rose Campion. It has a branching habit. It's a very bright fuchsia. The leaves are very pale, like a grayish green. This is a clematis over here that's falling over. This is our mailbox. I need to stake it a little better. I tried improving the staking this year, but it keeps flopping over, so it really needs a taller structure. There's more lavender. I picked a lot of this lavender. And there's more butterfly weed about to bloom. And here's the yarrow, but this is what I mean. Look at all those aphids. It's upsetting because I want to be able to harvest this, but there's just so many aphids. Let me know if you guys have any trouble with aphids and what you do about it. Yeah, these are really badly affected by aphids, so I don't know if I can harvest any of this, but we'll see. Then over here I have some geranium that's just finishing its bloom. And here is the rose campion. So there's black-eyed Susans in this garden bed. It's so windy today, I hope you can hear me okay. And there's coneflower in here, a lot of coneflower. These are all black-eyed Susans. This tree here is a dogwood tree. So this is what the garden is looking like now. And I'll do a tour in about maybe 10 more days to show you what the Liatris looks like. But it's looking very colorful with the rose campion and the blanket flower and the pops of yellow with the lilies. Look at all that mulch. We still have to use up this mulch. We probably won't use it all this year. We ordered too much. But the mulch has really been helping with the weeding. I don't have to weed quite so much. So that's a really big help. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a great time gardening this spring.